Hey guys, it's Tyler with TCG Rewind. Today I'm going to bring you another deck profile, but this time it's a little special. This is a TCG Rewind original. I actually invented this deck myself. It was not a historical deck list at all, but it's something that I kind of took the time to work with. This deck is called Volcanic Heroes, and the reason why I decided to work on this so much is because I actually really love volcanics as an archetype. I think they're really cool. And so when I was building the 2011 library, I was like, what's the best way to make this deck work? And I felt that combining it with heroes had some really nice synergies. There's even like a little combo this deck can do, which I'll show at the end of the video. So yeah, we'll hop right into this right now.
Time warp, go!
All right, so we're starting off with monsters. We have 3 Volcanic Rocket. This card obviously searches Blaze Accelerator from deck or graveyard to your hand, so that's a key part of this. Is like you can kind of cycle your Blaze Accelerators through using this card. And it's also not only when it's like normal or special summoned, it's also when it's flip summoned. So that's a really key thing to know. All right, then we have 3 Volcanic Shell. So this card is obviously just used for your Blaze Accelerator as a card that can pop. So basically, like I like to think of this as this is you have 3 times where you can like just destroy a single target your opponent controls. It's really nice for outing big monsters or dealing with problem cards for you. And honestly, this has a lot of other synergies with the deck. But yeah. Pay 500 life points, add another shell from graveyard to hand, or from deck to hand, so you can kind of like constantly like regain advantage while still like destroying your opponent's monsters for free. Then for the hero package, all we run is 3 Neos Alias and a single Stratos. So you typically, when you're running heroes, you want to keep a low monster count just because this deck can brick really hard from having like too many monsters in the hand. So in general, like with heroes, you always want to run a low monster count. But yeah, this is pretty standard for any hero deck, but this is a nice little engine to run in this deck. Then we have 2 Summoner Monk. Now Summoner Monk has like a lot of cool like interactions in this deck. One of the main ones is that you can pitch a Blaze Accelerator, and then you can special summon a rocket, and then rocket's effect will bring the accelerator back. So you can effectively special summon a monster from your deck for free, and then you can overlay them into a rank 4 exceed or whatever you see fit. The monster you summon can't attack off of Summoner Monk, so that's a key thing to note. But this is just a really nice way to just get a free monster, which I really like. This also can be used to, like, you could pitch like an accelerator to get a Stratos to get your hero engine online. So this is a really nice way to either get you access to your Blaze Accelerators or get you access to your heroes. All right, and that is it for the monsters. That's literally all we play. We keep it real snug. So we'll go on to the spells. There's quite a few. We run 1 Rhoda, and we're not running E-Call. Reason for that is because you're running the Volcanics and like cards like Duality, stuff like that, you typically don't need access to the hero engine, especially given that we're running Summoner Monk. Like, you're gonna see it one way or another. So Rhoda at 1 is like a totally fine number. You don't really need the E-Call. Volcanic Rocket is also just another nice 1900 beater that searches a card. So like either way, your turn 1 is going to be summon Stratos, search a card, or summon Rocket and like search a Accelerator. We run 1 Future Fusion. So this card is actually really cool. What you can do with this turn 1 is you could activate Future Fusion. You can send a Alias and then a shell to the graveyard targeting Nova Master. And then you can pay 500 to add shell to hand. So this like automatically searches your shells and it gets you a Nova Master in 2 turns. So it's a really nice card. Obviously, this puts up a lot of pressure. If your opponent doesn't have MST, then you're going to resolve and you're going to get yourself a Nova Master. And, you know, Nova Master is another really great card at generating advantage. Then we run the Trinity. We run Heavy Storm, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn. This is, you know, pretty standard. Heavy Storm might seem a bit peculiar because this deck is like a heavy back row oriented deck. The main reason why I'm running it is because we're not really running MSTs, and I do feel like this deck can make really nice pushes, and sometimes it's worth it just to like clear back row. Even if you end up clearing like 1 or 2 of your own, it's like, it's technically worth it. And then again, if it's like, it's also like, you know, a really nice going second like blowout card. If your opponent sets like multiple back row, you can clear them. And then in the event that you don't, and you have a bunch of back row set and this is dead, you can just pitch it for Summoner Monk. So it's really not a big deal. And then we run 2 Blaze Accelerators. This might seem odd too, because of the fact that you can add them back from graveyard and stuff like that. It might seem like it's effective to cut this to 1. But in my testing, I found that, I guess, like, there's a lot of times where you have multiple rockets, for example, and you normal a rocket and you search a Blaze Accelerator, and you want to normal a second one and search again, but you can't. And so, like, keeping the, like, card advantage is really nice. You just want that second search just for the card advantage, and so it's worth running. Also, like, you know, people don't typically expect it. In the event this gets banished or something weird, like, you have another one, so it's nice. All right, and then this is another really cool card that this deck has access to, and there's a lot of ways in which this synergizes with the deck. So we have 2 Wildfire. Now, Wildfire, its effect is pay 500 life points, destroy a face-up Blaze Accelerator card you control, destroy all monsters on the field, then special summon a Fire level 3, 1000 attack, 1000 defense token in attack position, and you can't declare an attack the turn you use this. So, if you have a Blaze Accelerator already existing on your side of the field, and you set a Wildfire, then this is basically a torrential, like a torrential that gives you a token at the end of it, for your like your opponent's turn. So, like, you can do this during their battle phase. You can do this at any point to wipe their board. So, like, this card generates a ton of pressure, and the nice thing about it is the token gives you a fire monster. So, if you've only seen your hero engine and you happen to see like Blaze Accelerator Wildfire, you can Miracle Fusion using that token plus a hero in grave. So it feels really nice. I definitely like this at 2, just because, especially since we're running 2 Blaze Accelerator, we have additional access to the Wildfires. And then we're on to some of the hero support cards. So we have 3 Miracle Fusion. This is a no-brainer. You want to get your Nova Masters, you want to make Shinings, whatever it is that seems good at the time. This card, yeah, it's just the best card in Heroes, really. For making beaters. Then we run 3 Gemini Spark. We're obviously running triple alias, so yeah, it makes sense to just run Gemini Spark with it. The nice thing about this is, again, with like a lot of these spell cards that we're running, so like even within the case of Wildfire or Gemini Sparks, right? In the event that you don't, let's say you don't have like a Blaze Accelerator, or you don't have an alias, and so these cards are just dead. Not only are these like pseudo trap cards, they can be used during your opponent's turn, but if they're dead, then you can just pitch them for Summoner Monk and get your engine online. So it might seem like these are like bricky cards, but they're really not in this deck because of the fact that we run Summoner Monk. And then lastly, the key beautiful consistency card of the format, we run triple Pot of Duality. Again, another pitch for the Summoner Monk if it's dead, but for the most part, this can just help you access the other parts of your deck. You always want to have like Blaze Accelerator online as well as your hero engine, because that gives you the most like ability to make plays, whether you're using like Gemini Sparks, or you're using Miracle Fusions, or you're just trying to pop cards with like Shells and Accelerator. You want to see both as quickly as possible, and it's really good. Now we're on to the traps. The first one we're starting with is 3 Vanities Emptiness. I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again because people really hate this card. I know it's at 3 and it seems really crazy for a format to have it at 3, but in 2011 this card is really, really fragile. Every deck is running multiple MST. Every deck has like cards like Dark Hole or like Torrential or something that can just like pop a card and then Vanities turns off. So yeah, it's a really strong card, and this is honestly like in here so you can help win like the game ones against the plant matchups and maybe deal with people playing Tengu. But just know that it's not as like oppressive as it was in like later formats where it's very special summon reliant. This format is not as special summon reliant, but still a very good card, and I still like running it at 3 in this deck in particular. Hey guys, editing Tyler here. One real quick thing I wanted to add about Vanity's emptiness is like this is another interaction and why we run 3 of them. Vanity's emptiness says if a card is sent from the field or from the deck to the graveyard, you destroy that card, but that doesn't include hand, which means if your opponent's walling up while you have vanities like flipped, like for example with like a Spirit Reaper or something, the really cool interaction with this card is you can still pitch Volcanic Shell for like Blaze Accelerator effect to pop your opponent's monsters, and it doesn't break your vanities, which is a really, really cool interaction that I figured is worth mentioning. Then we run 2 Solemn Warning. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really need much of an explanation. We run the Solemn package, 2 Warning and a Judgment. They, you know, really good cards. We run a single copy of Dark Bribe. This is just another option to help deal with cards like Heavy Storm and stuff like that. It's generically useful. I think I've even like considered bumping this to 2 a couple times. Like, I really like Dark Bribe. I think this card is really underrated. Then we run a single copy of Starlight Road. Again, Heavy Storm protection. Also, you want to just keep normal summoning monsters. I like to think of this deck as like a pseudo gadget deck almost. It's like gadgets with high attack. Like every normal summon you do, whether it be a Stratos to search a hero or a Volcanic Rocket to search a Blaze Accelerator, everything is a big monster that's going to get you something else. So you kind of want to keep summoning them, which means like Starlight Road is really nice for not only playing around the Heavy Storm, but also playing around Torrential and Dark Hole and stuff like that, because you just want to keep putting stuff on the board. And then the last 2 cards, we have 1 Torrential Tribute. This doesn't need an explanation, but nice thing about this is with this and 2 Wildfire, you're almost running like 3 Torrential Tributes, which is crazy. So you have a lot of ways to kind of blow your opponent out if they start like making an extension. So you can keep the gameplay like really simplified. And then lastly, we run a single copy of Dimensional Prison. The reason why we're not running Mirror Force is because Mirror Force is destruction, and we already have plenty of destruction in this deck, like between your shells, rockets. So this is something that gives you an option to banish a card to get rid of it, opposed to destroying. So that's why I went for this instead of Mirror Force, because honestly, like I said, we have plenty of board wipes. We need more things that can banish to play around things like TGs and stuff like that. But yeah, that's it for the main deck. It's 40 cards. We'll go on to the extra deck here. So for the extra, we'll start with the fusions. We have 1 Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, 3 Elemental Hero The Shining, and then we're running 2 Nova Master. Now, I mean, it might seem like you might need 3, but in reality, like, at least one of your Miracle Fusions is gonna be a Shining, like 9 times out of 10, just to get your hero stuff back. It's good to have access to the Nova Masters, but I don't think there's ever been a game of me testing this deck where I've ended up using more than 2 of this card. So 2 is a perfect number for this. We run 1 Great Tornado just to have it as an option, 1 Absolute Zero to have it as an option, and 1 Gaia to just have it as an option. In like reality, you're probably not gonna be making any of these, but there's a world with like Absolute Zero. You like Monster Reborn their dead Leviathan Dragon and like make Absolute Zero to like have pressure on the board. Could happen, not probable, but you know, still worth playing. Then we run our Exceeds, and our Exceeds we have 1 Utopia, 1 Zenmeister, and 1 Roach. And you might think this isn't that important, but Zenmeister is actually the most important Exceed in this deck for a combo that I'll show you later. But this card is actually really, really good in this deck. Alright, and then we have 3 Synchro monsters. We have 1 Stardust Dragon for the Starlight Road, of course. We run Bryanak. I only put this in because it's a nice out to cards you can't destroy, or like you don't want to destroy, and then also it's a water, so it gives you the option to go to Absolute Zero, which I think Absolute Zero is really good. And then lastly, we just run 1 Catasaur. Monster Reborn their Veiler or something, synchro for 5 and out cards. It's like the best level 5 synchro. But yeah, that's it for the extra deck. We'll move on to the side. The side is a little weird. And honestly, you're probably wondering, like right here, like after seeing the deck and everything, why am I not running Super Poly in a deck that runs Shell? The reason being is because there's so many cards. The meta's so diverse. There's a lot of decks where Super Poly is like pretty hard dead against. Like for example, like Dark World, Gravekeepers, Even like Tengu plants makes a lot of dark synchros between like Librarian and Catasaur, stuff like that. Those are the ones that are most commonly coming up, where the Super Poly isn't all that valuable in the matchup. So I've opted to side the Super Poly. So we'll get there in a second, but that's why we're not maining it. I understand why people would make a case saying like you should main Super Poly in this deck, but it's just because of the meta. I actually originally designed this deck as a counter to Dino Rabbit, which, you know, like most people don't play with in this format, but I was like, you know, in the world where someone was like playing like a Photon Shockwave 2011 or even just playing in 2012, this could be a deck that could help answer like Dino Rabbit in its prime. But yeah, so we'll go on the side. We run 3 Cyber Dragon, and there's a reason that I'm maxing out on these, but one, it's obviously really good for the Car Curry matchup, but 2, it's a really nice light 2100 beater that doesn't require a normal summon, so this card's really nice in Heroes. And I'll kind of explain like the side deck process like in a second, but we do 3 Cyber and then 3 Thunder King. So we do these because let's say you go against TGs or something like that, right? Where the matchup, like using Blaze Accelerators and Wildfires and stuff like that, it's actually not that good because blowing up their monsters, they're just going to search anyway. So you don't want to use resources to do that. In that case, Thunder King and Cyber Dragon are much better, but you want to side out that entire Volcanic package. So that means we need to get rid of all 3 Rocket, both the Blaze Accelerators, both Wildfire, and 3 Shell. So my thought process is replace those 6 monsters with these 6 monsters, right? You can run the Cyber Dragons and Thunder King, and now you can just kind of play a standard hero beat deck with lights, and then Thunder King is obviously excellent versus a lot of the meta. So it's a nice side-in option if you think the Volcanic engine isn't working out for you in the matchup. And then we have a few hand traps. We have 3 Maxi. This is just for if you're going against a special summon heavy deck, it's worth running just to generate advantage for yourself. We run 2 DD Crow. This is for like Dark World matchups or, you know, anything else that's relying on its graveyard. And then lastly, we run 2 Super Poly and 2 Debunk. So here's where the Super Polys are. We're definitely running them, but again, you don't want to like main this. But yeah, it's worth siding in against like decks like Agents. It's really good because they're all light monsters. So they're light or earth, which means you can make Gaia or the Shining off of their monsters. So I think it's a bit better. This is a decent out to cards like Gotchi. And you can keep the Volcanic engine to make sure you're not losing advantage from pitching a card off of the Super Poly. So yeah, feels pretty good. But that is it for the side deck. All right, so lastly, I just wanted to go over this combo with you guys. This is something that actually has came up with me in some matches I've played before, which is why it's worth mentioning. And honestly, it's a really cool way to get both your engines going as quickly as possible. So the scenario is, let's say you normal to Rocket, you search Accelerator, and you manage to protect this for a turn, which is pretty common in a deck that's running a bunch of back row. But so this Rocket stays on the field, and you now have Summoner Monk and Blaze Accelerator. What you can do is you can normal summon the Summoner Monk and activate its effect. You pitch their Blaze Accelerator, and you can special summon Stratos. Stratos effect will then add an alias from your deck to your hand. So then what you can do is you can exceed the Stratos and the Summoner Monk into a wind-up Zenmeister. And so Zenmeister can then detach the Stratos, sending it to grave, setting the Rocket, and then since this is able to change its battle position because it's been on the field for a full turn, you can flip summon the Rocket and add the Blaze Accelerator back to your hand. So now not only do you have like a beater on the field, you have your Rocket, and you have both your you have a hero in grave and access to Accelerator and alias in hand. This is like one of the better ways to get your both engines online, and it's a really cool combo that you can do to make things work. All right, guys, so here I wanted to do just a little price breakdown of the deck in case you wanted to try buying it for yourself. This deck's actually pretty cheap, all things considered, because we've got 55 cards, so 40 main and 15 side, or 15 extra, I mean. And I think that is not bad for that many cards. One thing to note is, for the most part, I try to keep the decks as shiny as possible. So while It may cost a little bit more. I know that most Yu-Gi-Oh players, you know, we like a little shine on our cards. So if there is a foil option, there might be a little extra dollars added to the cost. But I basically tried to go as budget as possible while still having some foil cards. So yeah, we'll go right into here. We have Dark Hole, ultra rare, 82 cents. We have ultra rare Neos Alias, 24 cents a piece. So we got 3 of those. Solemn Judgment is one of the more pricey cards in this deck, $6.89 for a super rare. That was like one of the cheapest ones I could find. We have our Roach for $2.44, Rhoda 91 cents, a Stardust Dragon for 73 cents. We have the Shining. The secret rares are actually cheaper than the ultra rares, which I think is like kind of cool. I mean, I think the secret rares just look better. So, yeah, $2.52 for them. So we got 3, 8 cents for a Starlight Road, 9 cents for a Catasaur, and then Absolute Zero is a little pricey, but the super rare is running about $4, which isn't too terrible. And you only need 1 for this deck, which isn't bad. Duality went for the supers. We got 3 of them at like $4 a piece. Again, you can go cheaper. You can go like commons or something, and you know they're way cheaper. So that could cut off like probably $10 or something like that. Like I'm sure you could get a playset for like $1.50 or something. Then I went for a single Dark Bribe. We went for the Shatter Foil because the supers were around like $8 or $9. I think like $10 maybe actually. So I felt like this was probably the nicest looking one at like the cheapest price. But again, you'd go way cheaper, get like a common or a rare, and it's going to cost you like next to nothing. Nova Master is 95 cents as an ultra rare in Battle of Legends Light's Revenge, which is really cool. And then super rare Summoner Monk are 95 cents a piece as well in Fusion Enforcers. So Future Fusion 69 cents. Look at that. We have Heavy Storm. I went for the super rare for $2.93. Gemini Spark. This is another card that could save you a lot of money if you want to go cheaper on it. We have $3.50 each, and so we need 3 of them. But if you go common on this, it's significantly cheaper, so that could save another $10. Chimera Tech came in Ghost from the Past 2 for 45 cents, not bad. The Utopia came for 24 cents, so that's really cheap. We have Bryanak. Dimensional Prison was one of the more expensive ones at like a foil. I felt like the nicest looking one is ultra rare, and it's $4. Again, you could go lower rarity on this and save some money. Blaze Accelerator, 17 cents. Wildfire, 14 cents. You need 2 of each. Volcanic Shell, this is another one you could save some money on if you don't want to pay $7 for the 3. I went for the dual terminal, like Shatterfoil ones, mostly because the only other option is like rare, common, or ulti. Ultis are obviously the priciest one, so I went for Shatterfoil, but again, going to common or rare, gonna save you some money. Gaia, this is the super rare one. This is the cheapest one available at $5. Volcanic Rocket came secret rare in the Speed Duel box, and they're $2.15 opposed to the Force of the Breaker ones, which are like, you know, $60 each or something. So that's kind of cool. I don't know if you've seen these Speed Duel secrets, but they actually look really, really nice. I have a few of them myself. So this is actually a pretty valuable pickup, like either way, if you're like, even if you're like an Edison player or something like that, like Volcanics are a cool engine. Stratos, we went for the alt art one just because it was $2 and you know it's shiny. You know, you could go like a little pricier, go for like a ultra rare from the jump promo, but I think those are like $10 or something like that. Warning, I think Dusa warnings look the best, but these two, the supers, are 75 cents, so we did those. And then a $3 ultra rare torrential tribute. Vanities Emptiness, the super rares came are $1.57 each, so 3 of those is not bad at all. Wind Up Zenmeister came secret rare, and it's 18 cents, not bad. And then we have Monster Reborn Prismatic secret rare. Listen, guys, I mean, we shouldn't base things on how much it costs. We should base things on how they look. And honestly, this Monster Reborn looks beautiful. And if you're not running it because you want to spend more money, you know, that's your prerogative. But this is the best Reborn. Then we have Miracle Fusion. Came ultra rare in dual power and 99 cents each, so not bad. And then lastly, Great Tornado is another 99 cents. So Yeah, that's the whole deck right there. Again, you could go cheaper. I want to assume if we cut like the sparks, the shells, and maybe the dualities to commons, I think you could probably reduce this. All in all, I would assume if you went like lower rarity, this would like go to about $60, which for like a full deck main and extra, I think that's really, really good. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna like change it up too much because this price is already pretty low for a full deck. And honestly, like, this deck isn't like necessarily like tier 1, but it can compete with the tier 1 decks. It feels pretty good to play. It's honestly really fun to play. I really like the synergies of it. But yeah, other than that, I think that's it for this price breakdown. All right, guys, that wraps it up for my deck profile and price breakdown. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about the deck. Maybe you gave it a try. Give me some of your opinions. It is an original build, so maybe you guys have some alternative ways to build it that you think might be a bit better. Super open to hearing that criticism. I would love to hear your guys' opinion. Also, as always, if you are looking to see like a in-depth deck overview as far as like the entire list including side, and you want to like try it yourself, you can always go to tcgrewind.com. You can download the deck right there. It'll be in the 2011 library under Volcanic Heroes. And lastly, please consider subscribing. Currently only 72% of my total viewers are not subscribed, which is an outrageous number, guys. I'm sitting at 27 subscribers, and I really think we could bump that number up to 40, you know, so let's try to get at least like, you know, 13 more. We'll round it up at a nice 40. You know, I put a lot of effort into making this content for you, and honestly, this content's amazing. You know, you go through, you watch it. We got some crazy series on here, and I would really appreciate the support. So thank you so much for watching, and make sure you have a great time dueling today.